The barn find has been a staple of the Horizon franchise ever since its inception, so it's no surprise that we got more in this new installment. This game's barn finds are definitely less exciting compared to other Horizon titles, but that's not to say that there aren't some absolute diamonds in the rough. Today we're going to rank the barn finds from Horizon 5 to see which ones are the best. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, I'm always making new stuff. Alright then, let's start off with the Carrera RS. I love Porsche, and this 50-year-old Carrera is no exception. Of course, this one isn't as exciting as the new ones like the GT3 RS, the Taycan, or the Turbo S, but it's still surprisingly fun. It handles way better than you'd expect, and of course, still looks just as good as any other Porsche. Just maybe not the 914/6. It also has an awesome wide-body kit. It just sounds kinda meh. Pretty much all Porsches sound average, but this one sounds particularly boring, and there's not a lot you can do to beef it up. But that's my one gripe about this car. It's not quite an S tier car, so I think it should be A tier. Next up, the Renault 4. This car in its stock configuration is undeniably a C. It's not so bad as to warrant being a total failure because it's got so much character, but it's pretty damn abysmal. It's slow with a solid 27 horsepower. It comes stock in baby pink beige, and it's just kinda crappy. It's actually so bad that you can't maintain speed uphill. So if I were judging it based solely on its stock configuration, then C is where it would be. But, it's a big but. You can throw on a quote-unquote wide-body kit, white walls, and best yet, a 4-cylinder motorbike engine. And god damn is it so much fun. Make it all-wheel drive and just go rip it around. It's so sick. It sounds awesome, but it still looks pretty meh. I really don't want to take into consideration the mods on these cars, but for this one I'm willing to make a small exception. And for that reason, I'm going to bump it up to a B. For obvious reasons, this is an S. No argument should be made that this car should be anything other than S tier. It sounds wicked, and it looks so incredibly stunning. If you've seen my top 10 retro cars video, you'll know that the 2002 came in second. This BMW is probably my favorite BMW in real life and possibly in game. It's definitely fun to drive, it's kinda quick, it's great off-road, and it sounds awesome as well. But I don't think it's quite S tier, and since I can't put it between S and A tier, I'm gonna have to go with A on this one. The 250 GTO is a stunning looking car, and the most expensive car in the auto show. Not that you ever need to buy it, but boy is it just a very average car. Now, to be fair to it though, it is 60 years old. It handles pretty okay, it's sorta quick but not great, and it sounds really good in the cockpit view. But as soon as you're on the exterior view, it has that exact same quality that the Forza Horizon 4 cars had, where it sounds like they just artificially warp the sound in the higher rev range. It's honestly such a disappointment, and I almost never drive it. If you have a wheel and a gear shifter, definitely give it a go, it can be fun, otherwise it's a C. In my opinion, the best of the American muscle cars that were ever produced in the 1965 to 1975-ish era. This Mustang has truly some of the best body design of any car ever made. It's so iconic you can immediately tell what it is from a mile away. Along with looking absolutely outstanding, it sounds pretty damn great as well. It does, however, handle absolutely atrocious, like all of the muscle cars of this era. It's pretty much just a block of jelly on wheels in its original configuration. That said, donned in the colour of Steve McQueen's Mustang from Bullitt, a super dark, somewhat British racing green type green, it's not enough to knock it off of S tier, where it deservedly belongs. The Corvette is the worst of all the barn find cars by a long way. Its styling is interesting, of course, being a 50s car, but I just can't describe how I feel about it. It's just so meh. So into F you go. The Dodge Dart. Now, this bad boy looks sick, sounds incredible, but goddamn does it handle like absolute shit. Like the Mustang, it's pretty much like trying to drive a block of jello on ice. The leaf spring suspension is just so bad, it's way too fast for what the body, suspension, and tyres can handle, and it just understeers everywhere. Yes, of course, I know you can absolutely clap it out with modern parts, but then everything would be an A or S tier. That would just be boring. You know, as an aside, I've always wondered why America was so big on drag and NASCAR, but after driving these kinds of cars in game, it makes total sense. They had to design their races around what the cars could achieve, which was no turns or 2 banked turns. Don't know why I never realized that before. B. Let's just put it in B. If you're English or Aussie, you know just how much the Escort means to people. It's one of the most, if not the most popular retro cars, maybe the Cortina. Anyways, this rally spec Escort Mark I is just so awesome. It sounds sick and it handles like a little rabbit. The body styling is so on point. Even the flat white coloring I really like, especially when you take it in the dust and dirt and it gets all marked up. I truly can't fault this car. I think it's awesome and deserves a place in S tier. The T100 is a really cool looking car. Kind of Dakar rally type deal, but not quite as cool. It was designed for the International Off-Road Series racing in North America. It's got really soft suspension and sway bars, and the worst part about driving it is when you go around corners, which funnily enough is what Horizon is kind of all about. Every time you do, it scrubs like half of your speed off, and you don't even need to brake. It's also pretty boringly underpowered. Obviously, yes, it's not meant to be super insanely fast, but this truck is just so agonizingly slow, it just feels really sluggish. This one is definitely like a C or a B tier, but I think I'll put it at a B since it has a really nice and super unique exterior model. The F100, like the Corvette, is just such a plain Jane car. Like most of the other cars from this era, it handles pretty badly and barely goes much over 90 in its stock configuration. I don't have to say much about this one other than it has some absolutely sick white walls, but that's unfortunately not enough to bump it up to a C. So to the bottom of the list you go. The Viper stands in that really awkward middle ground area when it comes to cars in Horizon. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's cool for the people that love Vipers, but to the people that aren't as interested, it's a car that just sounds okay, handles okay, and looks okay. It's not as much fun as a bunch of other cars, it doesn't have as much character as a bunch of other cars, and I think the only people using these religiously are the people that are obsessed with Dodge and Viper. But that's what this game is all about, catering to literally everyone. For me though, it's a B. The Jimmy is, like a lot of other cars in this list of barn finds, just kinda average. It's somewhat okay as an off-roader, but of course nowhere near as good as the Trailcat. It does, however, have a really sick wheelie tune that you can give to it, so it's fun for about a minute or so. Solid C, I think. Finally, the Jaguar XJR15. The XJR15 is one of the most sought after Jaguars in the world and one of my favourites, with only the XJ220, its big brother, topping it. It has the old school and incredible sounding 6-litre Jaguar V12. It sounds like no other V12 around today. The old school styling still holds up today. The only problem is that it's a little understeery, but that's not enough to knock it off of S tier. So, those are the 14 barn finds in Forza Horizon 5. What did you think of this ranking? Did you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next one.